Hello and welcome to the first tutorial in the Beginner to Intermediate series. Today we're going to go over the user interface of Photoshop. So let's begin. I'm using Photoshop CS3, however you may be using either an older or a newer version of Photoshop. But the differences in the user interface shouldn't be too great, so you should still be able to follow along with what I'm doing. The first thing we're going to look at are the menus, or the file menus at the top of Photoshop over here. Now each of these menus come with a bunch of different options that you can perform. So if we click File, we see we have options such as New, Open, Browse, Open as Smart Object, Open Recent, Device Central, and etc. Most of these are generic and are the same as most other applications, creating a new file, opening a new file, etc. So we'll click New, and you get your New File dialog. Here you can choose properties for your document, such as width, height, and resolution. I already created a document to work with, so I won't create a new document. And one unique feature of Photoshop is the ability to create a Photoshop document, or .psd. So if I go to Save As, and I select Photoshop.psd, what this does is it actually saves all of your individual layers and all of your individual edits that you did to your document. So if you save it as a PSD, you'll be able to edit all the individual parts of your image as if you were creating it from scratch. This is really helpful if you only need to change one little thing and don't want to recreate the whole image. And you can also save your image as other things such as .png, .gif, or .jpg. So that's all there is for the File menu. Then we have the Edit menu. The Edit menu lets you perform different tasks to your image or layer. For example, we have Fill and Stroke over here, and then these allow you to fill your image with a preset color or a color you choose, or also stroke a selection, which we'll get to later. That's all that you need to know for now for the Edit menu. Then we have the Image menu. Most of these are dialogues which give you details about your image, such as image size, image resolution, and allow you to change these. Then we have our Layer menu. These are more complex, and I'll actually have another tutorial going over layers and what they are and how to use them and understanding layers. So we'll just skip this menu for now. The Select menu gives you options to edit selections. So for example, if I create a selection, I did this with my elliptical marquee tool, sorry. You can do things such as select all, deselect. You can modify your selection, such as expand it or contract it. And you can also inverse your selection, thus selecting what isn't selected right now, as you can see. This becomes very useful when you're doing certain things to your image, and I'll give you examples in later tutorials. So I'll just deselect for now. The Filter menu is probably the most important menu, one of the most important menus. It actually gives you a bunch of different preset things that you can do to your image, or not image, but layer rather, such as blur, give it a stroke, add noise, pixelate, etc., etc. I'll be explaining these in further detail in other tutorials. And these let you adjust how much you want to blur by, or how much you want to add noise, or how much you want to stroke. And these are really useful when you're editing your image or adding effects. Analysis is actually a menu that comes with CS3 Extended. It just basically gives you a ruler tool and things for measuring your document for precise measurements. The View is like almost any other it's almost like any other application. You can do things such as zoom in, zoom out, add rulers, and then I'll go into those later as well. And of course your Window, which lets you switch between different documents that you have open. If I open more than one Photoshop document, I can switch between them using the window menu and the help menu, which gives you Photoshop help. Next, we're going to look at the tools in Photoshop. The tools we have are located on your left hand side, and we have a bunch of tools that help you manipulate your image. You have your move tool, marquee tools, lasso tools, crop tools, brush tools, and on and on and on. Now what Adobe did is that they grouped similar tools together. If you look at any of these tools, you'll notice there's a little arrow there. That means there's more than one tool grouped there. Similar tools or similar selection tools, for example, are grouped together as one tool, and then only one of them will show at a time. So if you want to switch between tools, all you have to do is click and hold, and you get a menu showing you all of the tools that are hidden or grouped together as one tool. So for the elliptical marquee tool, it's also grouped with the rectangular marquee tool, single row and single column marquee tools. For example, here we have our brush tool. If I click and hold, I'll get the brush tool, the pencil tool, and the color replacement tool. A lot of tools are actually grouped together, and it actually helps a lot because it cleans up the interface. We're also going to look at choosing colors. Down here you'll notice you have two colors. I have my black as my foreground and white as my background. When you click any of these colors, you'll get a color picker, and you can actually choose a color for your foreground and for your background. And it doesn't change until you press OK. And the same thing. And you can also swap your background and foregrounds by clicking this arrow here. Next, we're going to look at the sidebar in Photoshop here. This is where different versions might have it different. I know Photoshop CS3 has it like this. CS2 didn't have it like this. They were located somewhere else. So the most important one, or the one that you'll use the most, is probably the history. When you click this, it gives you a bunch of basically what you did to your image, and it lets you go back. It lets you go back and redo certain things or undo certain things. Then we have the brush sidebar. It lets you do things to the brush you're selected. We'll go over this later. And also your type tools, which lets you increase font kerning and font size and other things. And that's about all you need to know for the sidebar. I don't use it much, but I find the history really useful. And finally, the layers panel, which is located in your bottom right corner as default. These show you all the different layers that you are working on. For example, I can create new layers by clicking this new layer icon, and then I can create as many as I want, and then if I want to delete them, I just click the garbage can. I'll have a whole different tutorial on layers and understanding how layers work and what layers are. So for now, all you need to know is that you can create new layers by clicking this create new layer button, and also delete them with the delete layer button. And you can also group layers together. If you create a new group, I can decide to drag layer 1 into group 1 and hide layer 1 like that. And groups also make it really useful when you're working with many different layers. And that's about it for this tutorial. We just looked at Photoshop's user interface and all the different things it has to offer. For the next tutorial, we'll be looking at layers, understanding layers, and what layers really have to offer, and how they're so important when you're using Photoshop to edit images or create images. So that's it for now, and please stay tuned to my channel, follow me on Twitter, and if this helped you at any way, be sure to subscribe, as more tutorials will be coming out every single Thursday for this tutorial series. Thank you.